to first list January 29th meeting minutes. Anybody have comments? I get a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Laura will share.
Laura?
Hey, everyone.
So we have remember you all got the email from staff. Did you want to take a minute to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, everyone, for the warm welcome. I got over email. I appreciate it. My name is Laura. I am a 16-year resident of Catonsville. 2 kids who've gone through Baltimore County Public Schools. One's now a sophomore in high school. One's a freshman in college. Worked at the Maryland General Assembly as a staffer for 6 years. Worked here as a staffer for a little while. And now I'm working as an attorney at a local firm.
Welcome again. Okay, so as I mentioned in the email a couple days ago, want to do a round robin kind of discussion. Everybody get a chance to weigh in on your thoughts. I'll save myself for last, chairman prerogative, and also have Laura a little bit later in the cycle instead of going from District 1 when you just get here. So why don't we just go from around the table?
You want to, what?
So I sent an email out saying I wanted 3 minutes or so from everybody to.
On the number of, yeah, I saw that. I mean, you would just want to talk about the number of.
Yeah, the three questions we have here: the number of council members, full-time or part-time, and when determine or when that change should happen.
First off, the number of council people, and I've said this a couple times, I think that 7 is sufficient with what we have, what we have now. We talk about, I do believe maybe adding staff to those 7 members if they need it, if they're requesting more staff, which would obviously just increase their budget and they can hire more staff the way they want to hire more staff. In Annapolis, our senators represented just about the same amount of people. They had 2 constituents. I did call around to a couple of the council people and ask how many constituent cases they handle a month versus, or a year. And the number is the same amount, and most of you know I spent 10 years in the House of Delegates. The number is about the same that we handled in Annapolis. And I had 1 staffer. I had 1 full-time person. Well, she worked 4 days a week, actually. She didn't work 5 days a week. They only worked 4 days a week because depending on the salary, that we didn't get a lot of money. And then during session, we had an additional person that we were able to bring in. And what she said when I talked to her, our staff, we were just talking about Rita, she was able to handle it, but she wished she had more staff. That she could do it by herself, I mean, everything in our district, except the fact that she wanted more staff. The other thing that concerns me with adding people is obviously the budget. We talked about how much the increase is going to be, what we'd have to do to reconfigure this, but you brought in the fact that, the reconfiguring just the marble itself, I think we're underestimating exactly how much it's going to cost. We always have overruns at state government or county government, state government. We always have overruns. So I just think that, 7 with maybe some increased staff wouldn't increase the budget by that much where we could get away with, with that. Full-time, part-time. I think part-time is fine. Most of them do work. It's their option whether how many hours they want to put in. A lot of them do work more. I know one of David Marks' staffer goes to some of his meetings when he can't make 2 meetings. Bradley goes to some of his meetings when they can't make 2. David wants to be one place, they can be another. Same as Annapolis. I mean, we work 3 months a year, but during the rest of the year, we went and out and did the public venue. And we did as much as we wanted to or as little we wanted. We had some people that worked full-time. I was lucky. I was retired, so I was able to work full-time and go to a lot of the different events. A lot of these people have jobs. I know my councilman's a teacher. It would be a little bit difficult for him to, be a teacher and have a full-time job here. He'd have to give up one or the other. And I know He loves teaching, he just got into it, he loves it, he does special education, I think, and he loves what he does. And it would be a shame for him to have to make a decision whether to go part-time or full-time.
Any thoughts on when it should begin, like elections?
Well, it has to go on the ballot, so it has to go on the 26th ballot, right? So I would say 2026 would be a good time to put it on the ballot question. I think it gives everybody enough time to get out there and, sell what they want to sell, whether they want, yes, if they go to more, no, whatever they want to do. I think 2026 is probably more than enough time.
As we go around the table, would you, for the record, just say your name before you give your thoughts, okay?
I don't know if you all had a chance to print it out. My name is Keith Dorsey, and I just want to share with you all in this 3-minute portion some of the thoughts I've had about the issue of adding districts, and specifically adding 4 districts to the council size. One, I point out in terms of the catalyst of this, I think Sheila asked a while back, well, what was the initiative for getting this before us at this time? And so I want to point out there is a ballot initiative that is out there that is sort of referenced in the resolution when it talks about community and activists, that we're pressing for more diverse representation through a lower ratio of constituents per council member. There is the issue of lowering the ratio. I'm pointing out here in this section, you can't just look at the number of council members, because Baltimore County is unique in many ways. One is that it does not have any incorporated municipalities within its borders. That's different than most other counties in the state and almost all other counties around the nation. So what I've shared with you is first a chart that looks at some of the major counties in Maryland, the number of people in their either county seat or large city within that county, and recognize the municipal members of that body who provide supplemental services and oversight for the work of the county. And so as you can see from that first chart, okay. Okay. The first chart indicates the level currently for Baltimore County in red compared to the other counties in our state. The next chart is one that looks at, because Baltimore County has basically more of a comparison with a county combined with city aspect, much like you see San Francisco down there. You're looking at some of the counties that are in size closest to Baltimore County, and then those either capitals or larger cities. When you look at the combined oversight, again, you see a much lower number than what we have here in Baltimore County. There is the issue of diversity. There are 4 of the whereases pointed out in the resolution that deals with that. So in coming up with a solution, we can't just ignore that issue. If the solution doesn't address that concern, then I think we fall short. I also mentioned in there in terms of the concern that has arisen in terms of this past redistricting, the lawsuit the county was facing. So those are some things we keep in mind. But I've also provided to you on page 3 and 4 some looking at charts, looking at in terms of by district, and what I would imagine would end up working out. This is not trying to look at redistricting, but trying to help understand and grapple with that issue. In terms of right now, you have only one predominantly black district you have in terms of at 9, you increase 1, but it still doesn't get you a lot beyond 50%. But there's also the concern because of the fact of how you would have to approach it at one end of the county and work toward the other. It may end up resulting in tearing apart some traditional strongholds like the Pikesville area in order to accommodate the number of districts. I point out to you what would happen could happen in 11 district scenario in terms of the more of a certainty of having a second majority black district, as well as having 4 other districts that are more than 40% minority. The final section deals with other matters that in terms of the issue of adding council seat districts, the issues of at-large districts actually work against the idea of trying to improve diversity, and it would be something that would be another matter of contentious legally. It's been suggested that the county consider changing it from part-time to full-time. I don't have an issue with that, but I just want to make sure people understand it does not address the issue of diversity, and that in fact, if you're talking about accessibility, because everyone says council people already work almost full-time, you don't have that much of an increase in terms of time, total time available, but you're talking about a 57% increase if you increase the number of districts by 4. And then there's the other considerations in terms of implementation. The next available time for putting the issue on the ballot is 2024. That's this year. And so in terms of the ability of people to have passed it in the fall of 24, a redistricting committee working with it in the spring of 25 is certainly possible for people to run for the new districts in the next election in 2026.
Hello, my name is Jeff Mayhew. Overall, I think the council should be increased to 11, 4 more new members. I think it does, based on the increase in population and the representation level from when the charter was committed to something that's reasonable to that going forward. And with the population increase expected over the next 30 years, that if we don't do it now, excuse me, it's, the representation for constituents is just going to get higher and higher. I think it is also important that because the population has increased, it's more diverse. 4 additional members will increase the likelihood that the elected officials will better represent the general population. I think too, with additional districts, the districts will become smaller, and some of the communities that are competing with bigger neighborhoods in the existing council districts might have an easier time having their voice heard. Full-time, part-time, I don't think makes a difference, but I do think because most electeds will work full-time, that the salary should be increased to encourage someone to do it, that knowing that they may have a limited run, that the salary could offset that limited employment. The staffing levels, the funding for the staffing levels should be increased as well. I think the cost associated with increasing the size and increasing the facilities is small relative to the overall budget, and that if you want a healthy democracy, we have to be willing to pay for it. I mean, I guess I kind of think about the court system. The court system has also expanded with the population to it. So that, to me, is how I kind of look at that. The other thing that from the people that have expressed to this group, either through the email or our public hearing, majority wanted an increase, and of those majority that wanted an increase, 4 was the top number for what they would like to see. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Eric Rockel, and at present, I think I'm still somewhat undecided, but at present, think I'd recommend remaining at 7 council districts. And I say that based on a couple factors. Number one, I looked at a variety of counties around the nation. I found 3 or 4 that were similar in many ways to Baltimore County, including Mecklenburg County, which surrounds the city of Charlotte, North Carolina, St. Louis County, which is outside the city of St. Louis, and then the other 2 counties that I had some familiarity with were Hillsborough County outside of Tampa and Broward County outside of Miami. And in all those cases, in terms of the number of districts, they had at-large seats, so they were, greater than a number of 7. But to give you an examples of what I found in those places, St. Louis County, which has a population of a little over 1 million people, has 7 council districts. Mecklenburg County in North Carolina has a 9-member council, but there are only 6 districts and 3 are elected at large. Hillsborough has a population of 1,459,000 residents, and it has 4 districts plus 3 council-wide. And finally, in Broward County, it has 9 districts, 9 individual districts, but its population is 1,944,000, so almost 2 million. Based on that and another little statistic I found interesting, in Broward, in terms of its demographics, in 2020 it was 33% Caucasian, 26.6% African American, yet there were only 2 African American members on the county council. I would have expected, with the combination of the Black and the other Hispanic and Asian representation, which is well over 50%, for there to be more of a racial harmony and a greater representation of Black council members, but there wasn't. That may just be an anomaly, but it was something that struck my mind. So 7 council members, I would recommend that they be full-time with added staff. And in terms of when this should be implemented, I'm not really sure whether the council is going to be able to react to this and be able to put it on the ballot in November of this year. So I would say 2026.
Good evening. Vicki Allman. As a council person for 8 years, I come from a bit of a different perspective. In 2010, when I ran the first time in the 2nd District, there were several candidates, people who were just, it was kind of like a free-for-all, like a circus, because Kevin Kamenetz was vacating his seat after 16 years to run for county executive. And now not everyone ran, but there were 3 women, 3 men, I believe, that ran. And in that election, there were a lot of people very excited because that seat was now vacant after 16 years. So hence, I believe in term limits. I always have, and I think it's a good idea. In 2010, the council consisted of 2 women, myself on the west side, Kathy Bevins on the east side, and Julian Jones, a black man who had beat Ken Oliver, another black man in the 4th District. So having 2 women on the council was certainly diverse and a sign of the times, and I can tell you that the folks who were here on the council at the time didn't quite know what to do with 2 women on the council. I believe we set the stage for females. We set the stage for middle class. We had not gone to college. We were high school grads, and we were very much community-oriented candidates. So we were a little bit of a different breed, Kathy and I, than some of the other people on the council. I think it gave hope to folks who said, oh, I could never run for that. Oh, I'm not smart enough. Oh, I don't have the education or experience. Well, yes, you do, and you can learn, and you can do it. I think my point is that diversity is always possible, but you are always going to have the voters who are going to decide who they want and what they want. If Kevin Kamenetz had stayed for another 4 years, Kevin Kamenetz would have been the county council person. They just wouldn't have changed. But there was an opportunity then, and that's one of the reasons I think term limits are important in many, many areas. I ran again in 2014. Again, there were a couple of women and a couple of men, and I won that election. I became the first woman chair ever on the county council, which I'd like to wear a badge that says that. I was pretty proud of that. And I also think that Baltimore County is as strong as the communities that it represents. And by dividing Baltimore County even further with creating more districts, I think we're going to weaken the voices of the people instead of strengthening them. And I think we'll be pitting community against community for resources, for Board of Education issues. And I just believe that that's what's going to happen. As far as full-time or part-time, I can speak for myself and for Kathy. We both went into this as a full-time job. Neither one of us had another career or another occupation. So we came into this, whatever the salary was, as full-time people. I like the number of council members at 7. Full-time or part-time, I'm not really wedded to either one of those because I think whoever's elected is going to do what they're going to do. And if there are any changes to the council, I think it's going to have to be in 2026. I'd also like to see an increase in staff because if the council person is unavailable, and I don't, if it's 70,000, 80,000, 100,000 people, you're not going to go to every community meeting. You're not going to be able to spread yourself that thin. You've got to have staff, and you've got to have good staff who will represent you the way you want to be represented, not their agenda, but yours. And I think it's important to have the best staff that you can have. So there we are. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sheila Lewis. And in response to how many council members we should have, I think we should have 13. Because I think that allows a very good balance of representation, not for just this time, but going to the future with the projections. Because as with fewer numbers, we are headed very fast to where we were from then until now. I think that with the smaller districts, it enables the residents to have better service. They will know who to go to. I heard an example where people from the county were going to their state people because they didn't get responses from the county people, and that's natural. You go to where you can get help. But the fact that there were so many residents to each council person, they really didn't have time. Then also, we're talking about the different communities. I also heard someone comment on how often there were so many communities and so just different areas and different, really not geographically close, that sometimes these smaller communities, they just wouldn't be heard. They didn't have the loudest voice. So with the smaller county council districts, it will allow residents to be more empowered, and it will help ensure that their voices are heard, their voices are amplified, because you have a person who's now looking at a more concentrated area. And one of the other things is that with the expanded council numbers, there are bills being proposed now. And because of the way that when it was started, when there was only 50 residents for each council person, those voices were heard very quickly, very clearly, because it was very close. That link was close. Now there are bills that are being proposed, and there's this huge outcry because people didn't know until they heard it, because that closeness that existed, that accessibility, that transparency just has withered away as the numbers grew greater. And 13 council members gets us closer to where it was. That one of the things that did attract people to living in Baltimore County was their governance policies, the way they did govern, the way that your council person was accessible. You can call them to get things done. And over time, that has gone away because they had gotten so large. 13 takes it to a number that not just being nostalgic, but a number that proved that that was a base number where people received the services that they wanted. They had the accountability, they had the interaction, and the council people had time to do that. I'm for part-time only because I feel that council people shouldn't have to give up their lives, their profession, in order to be a council person. It's something that they do. I'm not saying volunteer, but it's something they do because they felt a need. They saw a need. They saw a situation that they felt that they can lend their time and their efforts, their education, their experience, or whatever to it to make it better. They stepped up to make a change. And for them to say, I want to step up to make a change, they shouldn't have to give up their profession, their livelihood, or whatever. I'm not against their salaries being increased because they do a lot of work, but I am still for part-time because they are entitled to their life. As far as when it should go in, I think it should be not this election cycle, but the next. This is to give opportunities for candidates who are interested to get to know more about the job, understand about the job, and also get communities who are looking and appreciating this opportunity to have someone who's going to start representing them and their interests, and not just the big whole area that their voices get lost. It gives them a chance and opportunity to look at some community leaders, to perhaps approach them and say, hey, can you run for us? Can you represent us? Can you fill our issue? Now, the thing about the additional districts, so I stopped right now.
You can have another couple sentences.
Okay.
Wrap up.
Okay. People learn to work together. And I think the county council showing residents in the county we can work together for our differences is a big model. The last thing is I think we should allow talent. We should have term limits, allow fresh perspectives, more opportunities, and broaden the knowledge base in our communities.
Thank you.
Yes, Edward Kramer, the 7th District. The number of council members, I believe it should be 7, but possibly I would I was thinking about 9 also. And the main reason why, something Keith had said in regards to the lawsuit that Baltimore County is in presently. And that is a big concern that we really need to think about. And Vicki had said something about the communities. I live in Middle River. We have 3 council people representing Middle River. 3. I mean, Middle River's not a big area, but there's 3 council people representing it. So there's a little breakup. In some cases, it's a good thing because you have 3 council people you can speak to about certain things. So you can look at it that way. But I really believe that 7 works. The main reason why I've never had an issue with getting hold of any of my council people, whether it's District 6, District 5, District 7. I've spoken to Izzy. Any of the council people that I've needed to speak to, they've given me the time. And the problem is, I really believe most of the constituents don't want to take the time to do what is necessary to get things done. And that's our biggest issue right there. And I'm just putting it out there. The staffing, I really believe the staffing needs to be increased. It's just, I think it maybe doubled. The employment, on the employment end, if they could keep it, they're working over 50 hours. I've spoken to 5 of them, the council people, and they're working over 50 hours a week. So they're working full-time. Even if we don't make them a full-time position, which I think it should be, long as they can keep their existing jobs. And that's a concern some of them do have. They're working full-time, let's give them the benefits. I mean, they're working not only the regular jobs in most cases, and they're working nights, weekends, things in that nature. So we need to reward them in that regards. But one of the biggest things is their staff members. We need to increase the amount of staff that they have to make the job easier for everyone. And if anyone has any issues, then there's going to be more people to support, there for support. Let me stay. Another thing, if Baltimore City ever gets its act together, I really believe a lot of people would move back to the city. Love city life, but things are so bad there that people had to move out. I was a city resident one time. So the council size, like I said, is I believe 7. The time frame, 2026. But the most important part that we really need to think about, and this is why I'm considering about 9, is about keeping communities. The counties need to be represented together as one, not separated by multiple council people.
Thank you. My name is Emily Brophy. So in reference to council size, I'm actually going to recommend 9 council members and all of them to become full-time. And I think it should take effect in 2030. The reason I'm a little apart from everyone else in reference to 2030 is because there are some one-time considerations that we really need to think about if we're going to increase council size by 9, 11, 13, whatever it is. There are capital improvements that we've talked about in reference to, making adjustments to this floor to fit those additional members. So I really think to allow enough time for the infrastructure to be in place and potentially increase council staff, not just staff for each council member, but actually like staff like, Adam and different people that work with council as well. It's potential that there needs to be an increase there. My recommendation is data-driven, so thank you to the staff that have given us some information, and thank you, Jeff, for putting together that spreadsheet. So in the 8 jurisdictions that we were comparing ourselves to, the average, including full-time and part-time, was 83,906 constituents. The average for the full-time councils, such as Montgomery County, PG County, it was 100,280 constituents. So if we go from 7 to 9, that brings the number of constituents to about 96,500 for each district. So from a pure number standpoint, that made sense to me. A lot of you guys have already mentioned full-time, part-time. The hours really don't matter. I just really think compensation-wise, the number of hours that the council people are putting in now, it makes sense for them to be compensated accordingly. The delta between full-time and part-time salaries, thank you, Adam and Brad, for sending me some information. You're talking about an ongoing cost difference of about 1.7 million if everybody became full-time. So it would be, you know, the increase in the chair salary would be the increase in the new, if it was 8 other council members or even the current 6 council members. I have that number as well, and I'm happy to share with the group. But that would kind of be the ongoing commitment. Would we have about 1.7 million? If we increase to 4 and kept them part-time, or I'm sorry, increased by 4, which is 11 council members, but kept them part-time, it's still a $2.8 million commitment annually that's ongoing. So for me, I know we've had a lot of conversations about quality over quantity, so it kind of made sense to split the difference in my mind. The one-time cost for the car and the capital, I mean, it's the same either way. So that didn't really account into my consideration. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention was, yeah, we've been talking about diversity for a long time. I agree with you that, yeah, even if it is a full-time position in regards to compensation, I don't think there should be any limit on, you know, that council member also having another job. I mean, if somebody wants to continue teaching and they can manage all of that, which they are now, you know, more power to them, and I think that's fine. I don't think that there would be any conflict of interest in reference to continuing to be a council member. But I really do think that the amount of time that they put in, whether it's officially called full-time or part-time, I think the actual compensation would increase that diversity of candidate that you're really going to get. You know, some people are fortunate that you can work on the smaller salary and still commit your entire time to it. But I honestly think if you want to get younger and more diverse people that have never really thought about running before, you're really going to have to make that change in compensation. Thank you.
Albert Harrison, I really, truly thought about the 7. And we came up with 9. And I just listened to the group since I've been working here. 11 seemed to be, to me, the substantial number. So that means that's 4. And from what I just heard about this $2 million increase, I mean, that $2 million increase is just salary. But I'm thinking about facilities. Where are they going to be? I mean, I'm looking at this building. Where would you put 4 more people and their staff? I really think that this issue, because it's an issue that need to be on the ballot, need to be on this year's ballot, on 24. I mean, we may take until 26 to actually get the full seats or the full government in control, but I think that this needs to be on this year's ballot in 24. Part-time, I agree with the part-time because I look at myself, former educator, even then that wasn't enough as a salary. Some of these council persons, they have jobs and their lifestyle, I mean, they already gave up. They just, you know, they went out there and decided, well, I'm going to represent my community. But my lifestyle got to remain the same too. I mean, I can't afford this car if I just work on a part-time salary. Diversity, I'm all for diversity, but that's something that we cannot guarantee. That's not something that we can say, well, the voter's going to go out and just vote for you because of your race or because of your gender. I mean, that's not something that we really have control of or can even, I mean, you look at the cost that it takes to run for an office. So I'm going with 11. I really think the size should be 11. And as I said before, I think that it should go on the ballot now. I don't know when we'll be able to come fully to that, but it should come before the people now.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So, is that close enough?
Yes.
Awesome. So I've only been part of this for about a week now, and I've been trying to get caught up to speed with all of the numbers and the figures. Thanks to Adam, who spent a lot of time on the phone with me trying to get me caught up. I appreciate it. I am of the opinion that we should increase the council. I could be persuaded either 9 or 11. I think that there's value in both. I think that it's time to increase. Our population has increased dramatically, and it's going to be an opportunity for more representation and more diversity of that representation if the body gets larger. My experience also is as a former staffer to a county council person, where I really did get a good sense of the amount of need in the community. And a lot of it is, of course, demand on staff, but a lot of it is demand on the elected. You know, neighborhood associations were fine with me walking in saying I'm here on behalf of Councilman Quirk. They wanted to see him, and they wanted to see him every time. And they want their councilman in their parades. They want him at the Boy Scout initiation ceremony. They want him at all of those community events that are so important that make our communities and not just places that we live. And so I really do think that the more council members we have, the more those individual communities are going to feel represented on a more personal and one-to-one level. And I think that it's time. I agree that there are going to be challenges associated with expansion, and a lot of those are budgetary. Some of them are space. I've worked back there. It needs a renovation anyway, you guys. There are toilets back there that have signs on them saying that you shouldn't use them. So it's time to invest in our facilities. It's time to invest in our staff. Growth is a good thing. Growth is a gift to our county. We're really lucky to be living in a community that's expanding the way that ours is. And that's going to mean investment on our part, and that's going to mean some expansion in budget, but I do think that it's worth it. So in terms of full-time or part-time, I don't know much about the legal ramifications of saying this is a full-time job in terms of how that would impact someone's ability to work, especially say for the Baltimore County school system. I do think that full-time pay should be where we go, that the more that we acknowledge that being a county council person is a full-time job, the more we're going to be able to attract people to run for this office who are not retirees or who are not independently wealthy. Not that people who are retired or wealthy aren't good council people. Of course they are. They can be excellent council. They can be excellent council people, but you know, I feel very lucky to live in Council 1, where my county council person is like me, a working parent of school-aged children, and that's a difficult thing on a part-time salary. And it's not about, I think, greed or wanting more. It's about making it possible for people who don't have a different income stream to serve their community in this way. So I would advocate for 9 or 11 members, a full-time salary, and I think that this can be done on the 2024 ballot with the 2026 election.
Thank you all for your comments. My comments are the following. So Tony Campbell, 2017, I was on the Charter Review Commission where I sat in a room not too far from here and advocated for the increase of that did not go anywhere, but I'm glad that we're all having this conversation today. overreaction. Right? There's always consequences to actions. And there's always unintended consequences to decisions. And so my thought is 9. That thought is based on data that I've done over probably a decade, not only population growth, but also not to overreact on population. Because one thing we saw in Baltimore City is that actually reduced the number of council members in the last decade because they projected growth that did not happen. In fact, there was a decrease of population in Baltimore City. Now, I'm not saying that there's going to be the population decrease in Baltimore City, but what I'm from Baltimore County, what I am saying is that it is not in our purview to project 30, 40 years from now about something that may or may not happen. So looking at the numbers that exist, 93, 95,000, thank you Emily, for those numbers. Those fall pretty much in line with national averages, around 90,000 per member. When you talk about aldermen, councilmen, that's pretty much a national average. So that it makes sense to me. I think there are. Is that on? Okay, it's on now. 90,000, nine members. I'm not going to go all the way back and say all that stuff. So 9 members make sense to me and make sense on from a community standpoint. In the conversations that I had, again, a few years ago, actually put together maps and with voting numbers, voting age numbers versus population numbers that had 9 districts and kept communities of interest together. Also increased the majority minority district by at least 1, and also maintain a partisan divide as it is in Baltimore County with a Democratic edge. So there are no, let me be specific when I say this. While I do not want Baltimore County to go through another round of legal issues, it is not up to this work group to defend Baltimore County. Our job is to give the best recommendation possible, and then they are going to make the decision that they feel like they want to make. But I think our job is to give them the best political advice based on data that exists, and then let them do what they're going to do. So as far as part-time, full-time, I think they're already working full-time. Why not compensate them full-time? On timing, I think it could be on a 24 ballot. I think it could be operational by 26. Now, the capital funding change that needs to happen may not happen. Come on, we're talking about government procurement, so that probably won't happen by 26. But again, our job is to give the best advice that the council can act on, not whether they can meet procurement timelines. So that's all I have. So that being said, I want to close this section of the discussion and open it up to the floor about, and we'll do this, I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to speak. If you have anything you want to respond to or any other things you want to bring up. So who's first? Mr. Dorsey.
Vicki mentioned her years of experience on the council. Well, I'll share. I have more than 35 years being part of Baltimore County's Office of Budget and Finance. And so the questions that some of you are asking, can it be done? We have done relocations of offices in this county within a matter of months. It's a matter of will. And when this is decided, if it's decided in November of 24, you're talking about people not taking office until December of 26. So the county has time not only to get it done, but to actually to fund it in the budget for whatever it is. As I shared last time, there are options for how to get it done, whether in terms of the additional people being brought into a remodeled back offices area or relocating offices to other rooms. We've done that multiple times in the county in terms of when the law office has been up, it's been down. The auditors have been up, they've been down. So, it happens all of the time in this building. So it's not a matter of concern for that. It was, in that 35 years, I worked with the budget offices of the major counties in the state, as well as the other ones around the country, Mecklenburg and others around the country, in getting information. And what you have to understand, some of you, when you were looking at it, you looked at the issue of just the council people. But in fact, in those counties, there are Charlotte that takes up a whole lot of the activity in Mecklenburg County. And some of the other counties, they are big cities that do that. St. Louis is a little more unique and certainly is worth taking in perspective. But in terms of for Baltimore County, even compared to others in our state, we're talking about comparing it to Prince George's, which then may have, 50, 70 towns that have their own services and responsibility. Same with Montgomery County. So you can't just take the analysis just on the number of council people, because there's additional constituent services provided by those municipalities as well as other responsibilities. Final point, I was hearing some of the things being said, but I don't want to lose the perspective. What affirmative action is going to be taken to address the issue of diversity? Is that people are saying, well, we don't need to worry about it, we're just going to hope that things worked out? Or do we take an affirmative step to try to increase the opportunity? There's no guarantees, but to increase the opportunities is what is part of the question that is before us.
Ms. Lewis.
I guess I was the outliner. It has to be one. I said 13. And I really sincerely believe it should be 13. That being said, I am willing to compromise and to listen to the discussion from those who said it shouldn't even be expanded at all, because it's the reason behind it. And I'm going to focus on the residents, the constituents versus the council persons. Those other auxiliary issues, like how much it's going to cost, the facilities, the logistics of that, diversity and that type of thing. There's a place for all of that to occur. But my focus is really on the council people being accessible, being accountable, and that the residents are able to feel that they're being heard, and that the number of constituents in each district will feel comfortable with the residents, like, okay, I can get to my council person, they'll hear and they'll listen. Like I said, I'm for 13, but I'm willing to listen and to see so that we can come to a decision, because we only have about 6 more weeks, come to a decision that we can put before the county council, a decision that does encompass all of the opinions, the issues that the group has, that we have come together and we have come to what we think is a best case decision. And this might be a little weird, but I think that if we are able to do that as a work group, representing differences of opinions, ideas, education, experiences, lifestyles, and see that we can come to a consensus of the best that we can do. I think it's an example for the county council. It's an example for the citizenry of Baltimore County to put out a report with a minority decision, all that kind of thing. It shows that everybody's got to take their stand. And we see that from Washington DC on down. And to say, okay, yeah, we did have differences, we saw difference, we see things different, but we got together and we came and did what people asked us to do, to come together and work together and give us an answer.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Liz. Yes.
So question as a matter of procedure. So our recommendation, obviously, we're not 100% going to agree. So are we just waiting to try to get a quorum or a majority vote on like the number of council members, whether the compensation should be full-time, part-time, whether there should be additional staffing? I'm just trying to understand like where that finish line we're trying to get to is.
Tonight, the thought that staff and I have put together is that we come to a consensus tonight of what that number is.
Of the number of councilmen?
Yes, through a voting
members.
process. You all want to explain that voting process now? Yeah, sure. Seems like a good time for that question.
You're welcome for that.
I mean, I think it's important that we give the council members the numbers, I mean, even if they're all over the place, because they need to know this. They're going to eventually vote on that, so I can't, let's say it's 4 to 3 to 3, we can't tell them that we had the majority of the people went with the 4 vote. I mean, I think the council members need to know that we had 4 for this number, 3 for this number, 4 for this number. And they're the ones ultimately that are going to vote on this to put it, because they need 5 votes to get it onto the referendum. So they need to know that, the different numbers of things. So I think that, I don't know what how your voting is, but I think that needs to be relayed to them. And if I could say something before we talked about the vote, there were a couple things that were said. We talked about diversity, and I was actually looking at your numbers over here. Right now, we have 3 districts that are majority minority, right? And I'm looking at your numbers correctly. The 1st district is 53.83%. The 4th district is 85.67%. And the 6th district is 50.95%. So we have 3 districts right now out of 7 that are minority districts, okay?
So let's say, for clarification, I want to make sure we're talking about the same thing, because the same words can mean different things to different people, right?
Well,
so we're talking about majority plurality district. We're not talking about black majority. We're talking about
right. We can't. We can't favor one minority over another.
What I'm saying is that when you're talking about electoral.
Yes, I'm talking about.
That is
right. I'm talking about right. I mean, you have Hispanics, you have Asian, you have a variety in there. So we already have 3 districts. I think by looking at the numbers, if you even divide it into 9, you may even lower that. Depending on how the districts are made, you're going to lower that number of. You could have less in each district, because you're going to lower that number. You're going to spread that number out farther. So that could be a problem. And again, we have no control over where the district lines are going to be drawn. So it could be a major problem where the numbers are going to go down as far as majority districts. Okay, so I think we have to look at that when we're looking at spreading them out. And we can't be, and you've even said it, we can't be guaranteed if more minorities are going to run for office. I mean, we can't be sure. It's just not going to happen. I mean, you look at Prince George's County and the legislature, they are 87% minority in Prince George's County, but yet they have probably 40% Caucasian members in the House, in that district. So you've got to look at those numbers. You had talked about the people calling in, and those numbers were skewed, because if you listen to where they came from, it was either they were on the committee to try to get this overturned, they were Democratic Central Committee members, or they were members that ran for office and lost. So of course they wanted spread out even more so they can have a better chance of winning. If you listen to all the people they called in, I think we had one that was the Republican Central Committee person came on. The rest of them were all the Democratic, either Central Committee members, and I know a lot of them because I ran against a lot of those. So that you have to look at. Also, if you look at the numbers, and I'm sorry I didn't bring them with you, but the number of increase of population per district is actually, over the last 5 years, has, even though it's increased, the increase has gone down over the last 5 years, continually gone down, which tells me that people are moving out of the state, or they're moving to Baltimore City, or, they're just not, moving into the county like we thought they were moving into the county. So I think those numbers, last year was like 22,000 increase or something like that. So the numbers have really gone down as the number of increase. If you get what I'm saying, I mean, obviously there's been an increase over the years, but that number keeps going down further and further and further. And I apologize, I have the chart at home, I just didn't bring it with me tonight. So the other thing we have to think about is we have the oldest population in the state, okay, as far as age for people in Baltimore County. So you can only assume that those people are going to be dying off. We're not having a lot of kids. The increase isn't going up. So that population eventually is going to start coming down. Baltimore City, like somebody said, if they get their act together. Look, when I grew up in Baltimore City, I wanted to move to Baltimore City, but I didn't want my kids to go to the Baltimore City school system. So I didn't want to have to pay for private schools, so we moved to the county. But that, hopefully they change. That changes. We can see some changing being, made. So we've got to look at it that way. And the population of Caucasians in Baltimore City is going up. So where they're coming from? They're coming from Baltimore County mostly. They're not coming from Anne Arundel County, Montgomery County. They're coming from Baltimore County. So that number keeps going up in Baltimore City. So I think there's a lot of things that we have to look at. And a lot of people had a lot of good arguments, but there are rebuttals to a lot of them.
Yes.
Tony, I think it was you that said we want to be careful not to overreact. And I think that's key. I really do. I think overreacting by putting in 11 or 13 is overreacting because we don't really know about the population by 2030 or 2040. We don't know where it's going. And I think we do have to be aware of overreacting if we're talking about increasing.
I want to give everybody a chance. So anybody else want to go their first time before I circle back to this? Okay, Louis, take it.
Yeah, I agree with what Vic Elman said about overreaction. And one of the things I hear overreaction to me is too much emphasis on is diversity. I don't know. It's just too much emphasis on it. I don't think this is the place where we need to be concerned about that. I think we need to be concerned about looking at people as people and say we want to make sure you get fair representation. You pick out where you want to live. If you want to live there, live there. You can live there. The law protects you to live there. If you want to live there, you live there. The law protects you to live there. And we know that people just naturally gravitate to live where people who share their same values, interests, nationality, religion, whatever, because we're seeing it. I'm seeing it in Pikesville where I live. We're seeing Hispanics are gravitating to sections of there. We are seeing Muslims are gravitating to sections there. We see this is growing. So people live where they want to live, but my concern is that they feel that whoever they are, where they are, they have fair representation, and it's not because, okay, this district is because you are this minority or you're that minority or that we don't give that too much, no more, not, we don't give it any more credence than we should.
There you go. Very good.
And going back to what Ms. Lewis said, that's the reason why I think, excuse me, that we need to put this on the ballot this year. Because I think about the fact that it doesn't matter the color, nationality, gender, or anything like that to me. We're talking about individuals and the service that they receive. So to me, putting it on the ballot now in '24, that gives us enough time, or give a person that truly wants to run time enough to decide on whether he or she wants this position. we're putting it before our constituents or the residents in Baltimore County. Do you want to increase the county size or not? That's your decision, and that's what we should be concentrating on. Do you, as a citizen, want to see the size of this council grow?
So are you saying that what we should report out on our March 31st report to the county council is ask the citizens?
No, it's our position to decide on whether or not this should be on the ballot.
Okay.
And to me, the ballot issue itself should be in this year's ballot, which would give them opportunity to decide on whether or not they want to.
We're making a recommendation to the county council. We're not making that decision. That decision comes from the council. We're making a recommendation. We can only make a recommendation to the county council. They're the final vote on it. They decide whether it goes onto the ballot or not. And to do that, they need 5 votes to get it onto the, so that's why I said it's important that we break down, where our votes, it doesn't matter who voted for what number. It's important that they know that we had X amount for this, X amount for that, and X amount for this number. So they need to know that as a full council. I think it's important to them that they need to know. As an elected official, I would have wanted to know that. When people called in, I told my aide, let me know, and I'm sure you did the same thing. How many people were against this? How many people were for it? Not that, well, the majority of the people in Baltimore County are for it, but it might have been 51%, of people that called in. I want to know numbers. Give me numbers. Is it, 51 people versus 49 people that were against this versus against that? So I can make an educated decision as to which way to vote on this particular, and a lot of times they were toss-ups. I mean, you had to make a decision. If it's that close, as an elected official, you have to go out on the thing and, go out on the tightrope and make a decision as to which way to vote. I know one time, and you were down there when we had the gun bill, I got 47,000 emails in one night. It came from everywhere in the country. So, but I was able to narrow it down as to how many came from my district versus how many came from the rest of the country to vote for or against that particular bill.
Mr. Cluster, hold on.
I was just going to, so Adam, can you tell us about the voting procedure?
I want to go here and then Jeff, and then we'll do this.
Okay.
I just wanted to point out in terms of the question of people moving in or moving out of the county, the issue is not a matter of overreacting. It's been an issue for many decades. Tony, you said you were concerned about, I've been looking at it since 1990. Okay, so it's not something new. So the question is, well, if you're saying we would wait for what? I mean, there's a possibility that the city, when it was defined the size at one point at 18 or 19, was at 1 million, and now they're 6/10 of that size right now. There's nothing that we're hearing coming out of planning that would indicate you're going to have that kind of dramatic thing. So even if we don't grow another person at this point, it's worth looking at the issue of expanding because of the reasons that we said. In terms of the people who are moving, I don't know whether in fact the Caucasians moving into Baltimore City or from the county or from some of the other jurisdictions, there are reasons to come. But I do know that there are new Americans who are coming into this county, into areas like off of Green Spring Valley and all of those other areas off of York Road. And some of them are saying, we don't have a voice because this council that stretches all the way down to Pikesville has so many people there in Pikesville, they don't need to listen to what's going on up here where we are. And so that's the concern about being able to have access, people having access. It is a matter of a voice. Working in terms of the budget office and the budget for the county, it wasn't a matter of individual saying, well, this group is only going to get this much. We hear from council members. Council members talk to the county executive. We work those things out. This county has one unified budget. We don't have a money saying this money came from here, so we're only going to support over here. No, it's one pot, and we address the needs based on what's there. So if a community is expressing their needs, it can be addressed. The problem comes if they don't have a voice. That's the real issue. And so, yeah, in terms of this needs to be on the ballot, but it needs to be on the ballot for a change, because if there's no change, there's no need to put it on the ballot. So what, we need to be considering is there really a need for change? How much of a change it needs to be? And then being able to make that recommendation. And yes, let the citizens decide. They can decide whether it's the size or the money or whatever it is. They will make a determination. But I think we need to give them the opportunity to decide.
Jeff, and then we'll go to Adam.
Thank you. I think with what Sheila and Keith are saying, with the current council structure, I mean, even within a single council district, say like first, there's distinction between Catonsville and Lansdowne. So how is Lansdowne's voice heard compared to Catonsville, or Middle River to Essex to Dundalk? I think with the additional council districts, some of those areas that get overlooked have a better chance of being represented. And as Keith, I'll steal his words, their voices can be heard. At least they're sitting at the table and not feeling they're getting overwhelmed by a more populous area within the current council's structure. And I wanted to point out, the first time we went around, I think it should be on the ballot in 24 to be implemented in 26. I didn't say that before.
Okay, thank you.
So I want to, so in order to get to a preliminary recommendation, Brad and I prepared a ballot. Unlike the previous vote that you all took, this one actually has a spot for your name. So we expect that this will be something, that, maybe we either put on the website or attach to the our draft report. That way, it is transparent who voted for what. The process we're going to use is 3 rounds of voting. Right now, we've got 4 numbers on the table: 7, 9, 11, and 13. And through 3 rounds of voting, we're going to narrow that down to the final recommendation. So each round, you're going to just fill out round 1 for the specific questions. Brad and I are going to take the ballots, tabulate the answer, and the answer that got the fewest votes will be struck from rounds 2 and 3. We'll do exactly the same thing in round 2, and that'll give us a final answer. There are a couple of questions here that don't really have multiple rounds. Like, for example, when should, if there is a change to the council members, to the number of council members, when should that start? There's only 2 options. So the ballot just asks you to answer that in question 1. And in terms of the part-time versus full-time question, since, the first 2 rounds are mainly geared towards narrowing down that number, you're only going to answer that question about full-time versus part-time in round 3. It's all explained in the ballot. It's only 1 page. And I expect,
Are there carbon copies?
Is it electronic? You're basically forcing somebody to change their vote, though. If you're eliminating the lowest number, for instance, you wanted 13.
I won 13. Am I the only one who wanted 13?
One person wanted 13. So the second round, you're going to eliminate her vote of what she, that's not.
There is a reason why we did it this way, and it's actually borne out in exactly the numbers that you gave when you were, doing the dedicated time. No, in order to get to a majority, you have to have 6, and no one number actually got to 6. The highest number was 7, keeping it to 7, and that only had 4 votes.
So you're basically, this is not the democratic way to do things, because you're forcing people to vote in an area they don't want to vote to get a majority. Like I said, why not just give them round 1, this is what our numbers are. This is where we're at. This is where we break down on this committee. 4, 3, 5, whatever it is, all the way across. Because you're really eliminating, at the second round, you're probably going to eliminate 11. So you're now forcing 4 people to change their votes that they may not want to change. So it's like a steering committee. You're steering people to vote down to one number. That's basically what you're doing.
We need to get, we need to,
No, it's not what happened.
no, but we need a consensus.
How diverse this is.
I think
They're not going to know that.
But in terms of,
The exact reason why we have round 1, it preserves the answer that everyone gives.
You're going to give them these?
Yes.
At the end of the day, you're going to give them what?
These, once we're done with this, my plan is to scan all 11 of them in and either put them on the website or attach them to the minutes so that, yeah, the whole thing is there.
So the reason why I think this is important is because at this point, there is not a consensus. This kind of voting prompts a consensus. It needs to get to a consensus. Right now, we're not. So I don't know any other way of actually getting there. Yes, well, I'm sorry, Mr.
I wanted clarification in terms of the question on the putting it on the ballot, because it seemed that people didn't all understand. So what's the wording on that one on the ballot?
If there is a change to the number of council members on the council, when should the change start? So it kind of simplifies it down to what is the election that has that change. So forget it.
So we're not talking process of
Yeah.
the recommendation, putting on the ballot
Okay.
and that, but
When the new configuration starts?
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to say, I think this is actually a better way to build that consensus. I heard a lot of people say 7 or 9, 9 or 11, 11 or 13. And I think this is going to save us from having a spike at 7 and a spike at 13 and having a half group be really unhappy. So I think it's a good way to do this.
Right. If you took at the numbers, I was listening to you all, it would be 3.5 for 7, 3 for 9, and 3.5 for 11 or more. I mean, that's pretty much right, split evenly in terms of the one. I included 3 and 13 as part of it.
Appreciate that.
11 and more.
This is my thinking. We need to decide as a group. I say that, but I mean, you're really free to make that decision. We need to decide as a group, what do we want to send out? Do we want to send out that we came together with a consensus, and this is what we recommend, or do we want to say, hey, we took a vote, and I want you to know that it was 4 here, 3 here, 2 here? I mean, you say the council wants to know, I don't know. But I mean, what do we want to present? Before we even present to the council, and they, because this is the way they operate, they think differently, elected people do think differently. But when we go to make the presentation in the public, we're going to run on the east side and the west side, and they're like, oh, typical. Everybody's got their own thing. Nobody can ever come together. Even when we get a work group together, they can never come together, because that's the kind of presentation we have to make to the public. Now, when the county council, is good that they will get the background and they see, oh, somebody voted this way, that way. Those politicians, they think that way. But when we're taking to the public, they're going to say, same old. Nobody can come together. People can't work together. They stuck here, they stuck here, they stuck here. We need to decide.
This is all recorded regardless. So, I mean, our first round of what we all said is already recorded and out there.
That's nice, but the public that we're going to talk to is not the ones that's probably listening to us tonight. But like I said, we have to decide as a work group, what do we want to present?
Right. But I think the way that, the chair and the staff came up with it, kind of like what Laura said, I mean, I think this is the only way you're going to eventually come to that majority, because we've already all went around once or twice and we all had, 7, 9, 11, 13. I mean, we clearly don't have a majority right now. So, I mean, I don't know if like the constant, I like the open forum, like you said, and I like that, it would be great if all of us could just agree to agree, but I don't think that will happen. And I think this is the only way to just like eliminate some outliers and figure out if we can come to consensus on what more people agree to.
That was my point. Rather to report out as a consensus, rather than report out as it was 2 here, 4 here, 3 here. That's my point. We should come to a consensus.
So my suggestion to the group, and I am only one member of this 11-person thing that we have here, is to give the council as little wiggle room as we can. Okay? Because then if they have a number, they can either choose to accept it or not accept it. Then it's on them. We've done our job. So.
They can always amend too, like you
Let's
said.
vote.
I mean,
Let's vote.
One more question, one question. One question. You asked about part-time or full-time.
made me lose
Did you ask about increasing the pay?
full-time, part-time.
No, I don't concede.
You mean
Right,
a specific question about council member pay?
right, because there's an option of them being part-time, but we say we can increase their pay. So did you include a question about increasing their pay?
I did not, but I will say these are preliminary recommendations. This is, the purpose of this really is to give Brad and I the direction for the draft report. If the group wants to get more specific in its recommendations, I mean, we definitely can.
Can we write it on here, part-time with full-time pay, increased pay?
Is there
You know that?
Is there anybody at this table who doesn't think that council members should deserve full-time pay? There you go. Question answered.
But it doesn't mean we
Let's cut through it, man.
Depends on what full-time pay is.
Whatever that is.
I mean, in terms of, I think.
Decide
it's gonna-
salary scales.
Right,
We can't do that.
That we recommend the council consider increasing salaries.
increasing salaries, right?
We're all in agreement on that.
Right, increase salaries. That's apart from full-time, part-time.
They are related, but yeah, it is something that's,
Yes.
it is a separate question.
Yes, it is.
We agree.
One down.
Well, it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't officially say part-time in the charter right now anyways. It's more just, everybody assumes it's a part-time position because of the salary. That's right. It's not like, okay, they work 20 hours or 50 hours, right? So we all agree on the compensation part. Yeah.
Maybe 2 copies.
Okay.
So please,
We can vote in pencil?
please make sure to put your name on it because you will be getting this back after the first and second rounds.
Right, I'm that person.
Concerned citizen. Concerned that they ask.
I wish my son had you.
Don't answer 3A or 4 yet.
Take your time, don't feel rushed.
Just say, don't answer 3A or 4. You may, if you don't read the instructions completely, just make sure you don't answer 3A or 4A.
The accounting firm of whatever they say, the
Accounting firm of blah, blah, and blah.
Right, they, on the award show, the accounting firm of. I forgot one. You,
Yeah, there's just a couple of questions that were.
There was 3 questions in round 1.
Would you did all of them right now?
No.
Well, you could have. Where are you gonna go?
But John, I understand what you're saying about election, because in an election, you can have 5 people running. Person with the most votes wins.
right.
Unless it's the presidential, then electoral
They want
college.
to do, what's that called?
That's correct.
Where the second, the last person gets thrown out, and
Oh, yeah.
sort of like what they're doing here. They want to do that. Some states are doing it, and
Yes.
Well, they have runoffs in certain elections.
Iowa,
You know, the Alaska Congressional District, right?
That's right.
We couldn't have held the hands up, and they did this?
Right there, you got it, right there. I completely agree.
There's some suspense.
I completely agree.
His cabinet was at each other's throat.
And he knew that party was just gonna make it worse. So then,
And then it did.
well, even in some counties, the parties eat each other. Montgomery County, they lose at least 30 delegates every year. New delegates.
Oh, it's grass. Crazy.
That's unbelievable. Every time I went down there with a new group sitting in, it's like, man, I gotta learn all these. There's usually 40 to 50 people do down there. Now, some of them because,
It's good, right? We want term limits.
but, you know, most of it is they were running against their own party and their own county.
That's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
procurement, having been the charge of procurement all the years, the state was coming to us at times. We were doing it right.
Well, I'm not talking about necessarily Baltimore County. I'm talking about procurement in general.
Procurement and paying the bills. The state is the worst. Well, besides Baltimore City.
Baltimore City is the worst.
The state is 4 months behind. And we would not do a state contract because of how far behind.
It's crazy.
4 months. You gotta pay for the stuff up front. We did embroidery and and things like that when we had our business. We had to buy everything up front, but they were 4 months paying.
Did they say why?
It's the state, they can.
That's why we need expanded, they need new ideas, that's why we need time limits. We
We
need
almost, because we had the uniform contract with the White House.
You can pay your bills on time.
We almost had to cut them off, GSA.
Remember that was one of the.
6 months behind on the bill.
That she was gonna bring to.
That's, she did.
Until we came to notice we were going to cut them off, then we finally got paid.
You get 30 days to pay.
It's supposed to be, yeah, 90 days plus everything.
Right,
Where's
and
the accountability?
I remember I talked to the young lady who won the registered wills.
Oh, yeah.
And I, for the county. And I was saying something, and she said, we have a staff of 65. I said, 65? I said, how many? And she said, well, there's nothing you can do. The real issue was, nothing was automated.
You'll get your money eventually.
Yeah. And she said, it's one of the things I'm gonna do. And I really think that's an issue sometimes. And
How bad, how was Baltimore?
I think it goes, as it goes down from the federal one, I think it's.
Baltimore County was pretty big.
They don't adapt to technology to.
We had staff as well as done. It was also, in terms of talking about the state, sometimes
Bills on time.
we had access to
529.
like 3 years.
I mean, you can keep you can keep that in the spreadsheet. If you get an Excel spreadsheet, you put the interest in, and they still couldn't fly 29 like.
It's just in so many ways wrong. Is someone not?
There's a system out there for taxes.
No, you just have to question.
How it does it.
And that is one of the things, that's why I like to have, able to speak to the people, that's why I like to change. Because a lot of times.
No one knows cheating when they're taxes.
Well, if you use the state's system, you can do your taxes now.
No.
Runs you through everything you're supposed to do. Yeah. Home. I mean, little things pop up here and there. What about this? All kinds of questions, everything. Have you tried to take this off? Yeah.
Factor into your decision, right? You're just not going to come to a consensus. It was not easy. I mean, it was constantly in your faces. And it was convincing.
It's really annoying when you're a kid age. Is that? I was like, are you kidding? She's more expensive than ever.
Health insurance, 25. 28?
28? Okay.
But yeah, it's like once you start paying their car insurance, you stop getting the tax credit. It's terrible.
We must have did something wrong. Let's go back and recalculate, caught up the taxes together, and looked at the different.
17.
So you understand what I'm saying? I don't have to do that.
Age of 16, you lose that child.
In your district, you have blah, 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 blah. And you're like, well, yeah, but.
So you're getting there.
Yeah. I got 5 more years.
So then maybe we can find out,
You gonna mark it up? Is it marked up?
because they will gift you with it.
Oh, yeah, big time. I've been known to cry count occasionally.
Okay, so the answer for question 1, the answer with the fewest votes was 13. So that has been eliminated from rounds 2 and 3. A majority said no to the question of should there be at-large council members. So that means we are skipping the question of how many at-large there should be. Because obviously, if the group says no, it doesn't matter how many there should be because, yeah. Yeah, you are down to 3 options now, 7, 9, and 11. So please select one, and it should be a little bit faster.
Hold strong. Hold strong.
Yeah.
So who they got Victor replace?
Yeah, she has a point.
Do you want to do it? What's that?
Well, the problem is you got 2.
Congratulations.
Yes.
You can't get.
Because if you go to the pound,
You need.
Didn't do that before. When
Izzy has put in.
Bring Don back.
Do you need 5 votes? 5 votes? Do they need 5 votes? The interim. For the interim, they would need. Do they need? Yeah. Do they need 5 votes or 4?
And if they actually.
Because if the council vote, yeah. Yeah, but I would say there's no way an existing council person gets to 5.
I think Vicky Allman needs to be counted executive.
Busy right now.
It's only 2 years.
It's only 2 years, yeah, right. I'm not sure my sanity would do very well.
You'll never get back in your.
You might have an insane county executive. Yeah, I would. Yes, I came close to losing my sanity over that one. Woo.
My daughter went to Keatonsville High. Yeah, she graduated last year. My son's at Western High. My son's at Western Tech.
And they have 3 different, they're all lovely.
I think so. They do like graphic design now. Yeah, I think now they do graphic stuff. He does computer engineering.
I thought everybody might.
Mr. Paul had nothing to do with
With
this.
it, yep. Long time.
Right. So they call it Bedford Park.
Eventually, yeah.
All the options.
That's what I tell people all the time.
They say pick out.
3 times a week. You know, and I call them and.
I sent it out to the
We
community.
should keep your something.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The groundbreaking, yeah.
I live right across the street from Keatonsville High. I live right across the street from Keatonsville High. Yeah. I live on Montemar.
It would have been longer than that.
I lived in Big Choice, so we kind of put that at the Beltway.
962,000. The county came in and said, okay.
We bought our house and we thought it's gonna be great. Our kids are gonna walk to high school. And it was great for my daughter and my son didn't go there.
Well, then, safe. You're down to 7 and 11.
7 or 11, huh?
Well,
How did that happen?
how did we get down to, oh, yeah. We only have 2 options.
The votes, the answer with the fewest responses in round 2 was 9, so we are down to 7 and 11. And since we are in round 3, please also answer question 4, which is about the full-time versus part-time. And, you know, if your answer changes, you could change it. Okay.
The other thing is,
Don't feel rushed.
Augsburg has been sold.
Really?
The Lutheran Church sold it
Okay.
to a private, I'm not going to say company, because I do believe they said it was a husband and wife, like a family, and they have a couple other facilities like this. This is, I think Augsburg was either their 3rd or 4th.
It's still there?
But it's no longer nonprofit because it's the church sold it to.
Anyone still have theirs?
Nonprofit. And they just, the sale was finalized 1st of January. And of course, the residents are really concerned because it's going for nonprofit.
For profit, right?
But they assured everybody that it's fine, so we'll hope. I think it'll be fine.
I'm working for an organization where we're feeding hungry kids in school, Student Support Network.
Oh,
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
doing
Wasn't Greg nature study at the time?
Lori Taylor Mitchell is the,
what they supposed to say?
Special ed.
This May, they're supposed to be concert at Walton Center.
oh, yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. And I've been working for them since I left the county, and a little bit before then. Always been a volunteer at heart. And at one of the high schools, I have Owings Mills. There's no high schools there. And Owings Mills High School, schools with no school boards, haven't had school boards in their gym for 50 years.
They had moved from the numbers to
Right?
the names.
County wouldn't do anything. Board of Ed wouldn't do anything.
Those of us that have been educated.
I said, can you get us money? And she said, yeah, get your money. And then the Board of Ed said, oh, well, of course, we're going to do that.
They don't want to be embarrassed.
4 years, there were parents and kids playing basketball who didn't know the score.
If he wants to control.
They're writing it out. Is that just so awful? I mean, on a smaller scale, that's insane.
That's why. They need new ideas, new perspectives. They need that turnover. They need.
What's going on?
We have a few of them, at least a half a dozen.
We've become really a part of schools.
They're out now. I mean, they've got their
I said, oh, if we can only get school boards. I said, what? I said,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's interesting. Kind of calm today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually you guys like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little strange. Do you guys usually like yell and throw stuff?
It's just, we've had some good discussions.
Good.
And it's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's,
Been healthy.
It's really fun to be back. I did used to work here. I sat in those chairs over there watching.
we don't have a turf field.
Right.
Franklin has everything. That's my kids' school, where they went.
I worked for Tom Quick.
Gets nothing.
Right. Like I said, and it,
What's, and it's the minorities.
West Mills just started growing.
Yes, you're right.
We have enough people to play.
Didn't even have an active PT.
People don't understand the value of organizing. They don't understand.
PTAs today are not what they used to be.
Right.
But they were so beautiful.
Yes.
Weren't they?
Yes.
I mean, it was a beautiful thing to see. I can remember getting on a bus with hundreds of other people going to the Board of Ed, and
Any council person is more afraid of mama.
you better believe it. You better, a busload of people could put the fear of God in you. But you don't do that anymore.
Right.
You know? It's all changed. It's all just different. And I find it sad that we don't have that support in each school
Right.
where we used to.
Yes, but we want to work on it. We want to try.
Yeah.
I hope the organization we work with continues to go from school to school and just ignite that flame.
We're in 21 schools right now. We got 26 already in the state.
Okay.
But budget won't allow us.
Y'all nonprofit one, 501c?
But we're working on it.
Get some money.
Yeah, we're
Get
working
some,
on
yeah. Just like, yeah.
All right, so, the vote was, it's 5 to 6, or 6 to 5. 7 council members.
It's 5 to 6 for, 7 council members?
6 for 7 council members, 5 for 11.
Okay. So what are we going to do with that? Is that what we're going to report out, or we're going to report out?
I think this is a preliminary conversation.
Is that the only one like that, or are the other ones a little bit more decisive? So we know that we don't have to think about those?
This, my recommendation is that this is not the final decision. We know where we stand. The question is, I think we have more conversations about this.
No, I was talking about the other questions. I mean, the other questions.
Oh, the other questions, oh, yeah.
The results were, final tally is against a recommendation for at-large members. There was a majority in favor of full-time council members. And if the council was to expand, that would be with the 2026 election. However, as Mr. Campbell said, the recommendation is to stay at 7 members.
Okay. So I heard you say, could you go down that again? Because one was confusing me. What did you say? Could you read what you said? Could you repeat what you just said?
The work group voted a majority in favor of remaining at 7 council members.
Yeah.
Majority in favor of 0 at-large members.
Okay, you said majority. What is that majority?
Majority vote in the final ballot.
So it was, right, but I mean, you told us the number for the,
What were the numbers?
6-5.
No, of the
Oh,
full-time, part-time.
Also 6-5.
okay. And what's the next one?
Yes, 6 for full, 5 for part.
What was question number 3? At large?
At-large was recommendation for no at-large members. And the implementation date,
No, what was the number for at large?
No, yes.
Oh, okay, okay, 0, okay. Well, that's fine. That's fine, that's all. I'm satisfied with everything else. Go ahead.
There were 8 votes for 2026 and 3 for 2030.
Yeah.
Because there was a gap in between the two numbers, I was just curious, those who said 6, would any of them have considered 9 if it had been on the ballot? Well, what we forced them, as John was pointing out, we forced them into a issue of one or the other, where there was an option, as Emily says, the splitting of the baby option that would have been there. Would it have made a difference in people's minds?
If you're asking me personally, I think I've made my point pretty clear that I thought 11 was an overreaction. I
Okay.
think there should be expansion. That's why I voted for 9. And when it got down to 7 to 11, I voted for 7.
Okay.
That was the same for me. So I clearly said 9 as well, but when it was between 7 or 11, I voted 7.
Okay.
So are you thinking we can come to a compromise?
Well, possibly, but as Tony's pointed out, what we're doing now at this phase, we're presenting to a public document and allowing the public to have input. And so whether or not we change our thoughts on any of these matters after we have public input is another issue when we do the final document.
Well, and so, and then now I'm going to shut my mouth. I will. Ed, then Eric.
Tony, my first, when I first spoke, I did say I would consider 9. I did do that. So, I mean, and there's always a possibility, and 7 is my number, but I thought about 9. I'm not going to lie, I did think about 9. The main reason why is the communities. I mean, trying to make sure communities stay as whole.
My additional comment is that this report that's going to be prepared will be a preliminary report. And of course, we've got 2 public hearings coming up. And I'm certainly open to changing my attitude if I hear compelling information from the 2 public hearings.
Okay.
Well, you guys already know our compromise.
Your 13 was just struck down, man.
If I can go back to my original
Yes.
thought, which is, I think we give the council the numbers that we actually, if we're all over the place, we're all over the place. You know, we're forcing, now we see that the losing side wants to change the rules of the game. So why not just go back and give them the numbers that, you know, in the very first vote, what the numbers were, and give the council those numbers and let them make the final decision, you know?
Right.
So.
Well, you had something to say, then I'll say something.
My additional comment is we should really be doing both. We should say there was a consensus vote that produced a majority for 7, but the original vote wasn't lay out all 4 of the choices.
Well, and
That's a good idea, yeah.
Well, and that's the data that the staff has now. So I think for mid-February, we have 6 weeks left. We have a couple public hearings that are going to happen. So I think we take this as a snapshot in time. We know kind of where we're thinking originally, where this kind of got to as far as the process. And then, you know, February 29th, when we meet again, we'll have more things to talk about. And then after our public hearings, I'm sure there'll be more information that'll be presented, and then we will get down to a final decision. So.
We'll be here the 29th. I'm out of the country, so just so you know that.
Okay.
What's the numbers from round 1?
I didn't hear what you're saying.
I was asking him, what were the numbers from round 1?
Probably similar to what there were earlier, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that that would be accurate. I mean,
4 for 7.
It was 4 for 7.
4 for 7, 5 for 11, and 2 for 9.
And 1 for 13. No.
We're talking about for round one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It was 4, 5,
There were 5 votes for 11,
okay,
4 for 7, 2 for 9, none for 13.
and I can, just so everyone has it, I can send these, I can scan these, send them to everybody tomorrow morning, so that, everyone can do their own, look through.
You know where to lobby.
Well, no. Let's not do that. So as chair, I'm making an executive decision. We're not doing that. I think you sent the numbers out for each round of voting, sent it out to the members. I'm not going to,
Okay.
no, we're not going to put names to this thing.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Next meeting?
Ma'am?
Are we ending the meeting today?
We are almost done.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone have any final thoughts?
My final thought is, I just hope that you're going to send the numbers out, and hope everyone think thoughtfully the numbers. Think about the reasons for either not expanding the county council or expanding the county council, and it's the same way with part-time versus full-time. And be open to thinking about not winning or losing, but thinking about what is going to be in the best interest of the residents. And part of that is showing the residents that bipartisanship, not based on a party, this time, we're not talking about party affiliation, but people can come down thoughtfully and say, we can work together, and it's not about winners or losers all the time in politics, which people see so often.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Lewis. So let me echo that and then and say this, and then I'll close, or we'll be done.
Make one quick statement, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
But on your vote about full-time, part-time, the ballot didn't distinguish between for compensation purposes, or in other words, do you want this to be a full-time job, and if you serve full-time, you can't have another job, or is it going to stay part-time? So I think maybe you should really quickly
Find that down,
parse that out. And second, I just wanted to say, I think you all are in a great place right now. I mean, you've at least taken the big leap of figuring out where everybody is, and you've got a whole month, to go to the public hearing and to hear what other people have to say, and even debate it amongst yourselves. So, thanks.
Can you take a hand vote of how many want part-time with an increased salary?
Yeah,
I mean, from what people said earlier, I think everybody would be okay with that, right?
As long as the salaries increase.
right.
That seemed like a consensus.
And we make that recommendation, that it's not a full-time job.
Right.
It stays as part-time citizen council, but they get an increase in salary. Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that just so when
No,
Adam's doing the.
You're right.
It's counted properly.
Yeah. Yep. Anybody else? Okay.
Mechanics.
Yes.
So you two are going to scribe everything. Will we get a draft version to review before our next meet? What are you thinking?
I mean, that I think is right now the plan, because, to be honest, you only have one more meeting before the public hearings.
Right.
So you need to at least have, the chance to look at the draft report before it gets published to before it gets published. So unless the chair would like to do otherwise, that was my plan.
Well, the question then becomes, what do we report?
We can report the introduction.
Because I don't think the numbers are firm enough to report any numbers.
Well, I agree, but I think if the introduction is there, at least it gives us a focus, because right now we need to really come together on focusing, because we need to get to where we need to go.
I think that we've decided that there's not a consensus vote here for 11 or 13, and I think that's a huge step forward. I think now we have decided that the question is 7 or 9.
Right. Well,
You could say we've decided.
7, 9, or 11.
Yeah.
7 or 11. 7 or 11, basically.
Well, I think if
But
somebody made
11
a suggestion, we
failed.
reported what this outcome was, but what the numbers were originally.
I don't think that we have 11. I think that 11 failed outright. You know, we
No,
haven't.
11 came in second place.
Sure, but we don't have 11 votes for 11. We don't have votes for 13.
I don't think we have a vote for anything. I think we have a split decision, and then other folks would have voted a different way if that was there.
I think that what I'm saying is, I think if we had an up or down vote, change or stay the same, we might have a majority for change. And I think at that point, we know that the up or down vote is going to be 7 or 9.
I understand what you're saying, because some people said,
Yeah.
well, I voted for 7 because I didn't see 9, but if 9 was there, I voted for 9.
And I wrote down what everyone said at the beginning. The majority was to change, not to stay.
I think there's a consensus to change. Okay, let me back up. I think there's a majority to change, but what that number is unclear.
I would say that it's clear to me that we don't have 11 or 13.
You know, what, in terms of what he's saying, though, you phrased it correctly the first time. It is a question, how many people are for increase or no increase?
Right.
That makes it easy to decide. There are some people who voted, 4 people who voted no change. There were 7 people who voted for change. So the question is, do you say that the choice is how much of a change do you want? I mean, that's a different way of looking at what you were saying. Because if the majority of people say we want change, then the option is not between 7 and 9. The option is it between?
I think that then if you say, fine, of the 7 of you that said change, what's your consensus number? And I don't think that we get back to that majority vote without 9. I think that 11 and 13 both fail.
But we know 13 is going to fail, but I'm not sure about the 9.
I don't think we can say that with any certainty right now.
I don't know about the 9.
So, okay, it would help just visually if I could see like a draft recommendation report. You're right. I mean, it's going to change, but just to get the layout, right? Like get the introduction, kind of like, okay, preliminary results are, we recommend 7, but we do recommend an increase in salary, et cetera, et cetera. I think just to start getting that in writing, kind of like Jeff mentioned earlier, I mean, we do need time to review it before we go to the public with it. So I think getting that draft recommendation report, whether it is our final report or not, I think that would be helpful for everybody to see. Do you guys agree with that?
Well, and I don't think that maybe those numbers don't necessarily need to be in the report itself, but at least the language of it without that number should be what we're presenting.
Sometimes seeing it written, it gets you.
It helps people jog thoughts and you know, you can start like, oh, I would kind of edit this here kind of thing, right?
Right, and even showing the methodology of the process, we're like, really? Is that, you know, you just, when you see it written, it works.
You wanted to mention it?
Sure. What if staff had a draft report prepared on February 23rd and distributed to the work group for feedback and edits, and then we used the February 29th meeting to finalize the report and discuss any amendments?
February 29th, that should be an interesting day. Anything we do that day should be absolutely working.
That means that we'll have a full week in between the report's issuance and the first public hearing as well.
Okay.
So the public has a chance to weigh in.
Okay. All right. I want to thank all of you for your service. This is volunteer, as I saw a couple emails come across today. Yes. Your time. Yeah. Your time, energy, and talents are very much appreciated. I appreciate them. I'm sure the people of Baltimore County also appreciate you. That being said, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.